The atmosphere inside the America's Got Talent, the Champions studio feels electric, buzzing with anticipation as fans from around the world fill the seats. The giant LED screens glow with swirling colors, and the familiar AGT theme echoes through the hall. Then, suddenly, the lights dim. A hush spreads across the room like a wave. From backstage, a calm figure steps into the glowing spotlights, MarcelitoPomoy. Dressed in a sleek black suit with a humble smile, Marcelito walks toward the center of the stage, hands lightly clasped in front of him. Despite his quiet demeanor, there is something magnetic about his presence, something that makes the entire room lean in. Some audience members instantly recognize him and whisper excitedly, others simply watch with curiosity, unsure what makes this soft-spoken Filipino singer so special. As he greets the judges, SimonCowell tilts his head, studying him closely. "Tell us," Simon asks with his usual sharp curiosity, "why did you come back to the Champions stage?" Marcelito gives a humble bow. "I want to challenge myself, and show something different," he says gently. Simon's eyebrow lifts. "Different how?" he asks, still skeptical. Marcelito simply smiles. "You'll hear it." The orchestra conductor raises a hand, and the first notes of a dramatic operatic piece begin to fill the hall. The camera tightens on Marcelito's face, calm, ready, focused. Then it happens. A flawless, soaring female operatic voice flows out of Marcelito, so pure and powerful that the audience gasps as one. People shoot to their feet. Judges widen their eyes. Simon's jaw drops open in disbelief. In that instant, the room realizes, this isn't just another singer. This is the beginning of something extraordinary. The audience is still frozen in shock as Marcelito's angelic female voice fills every inch of the theater. The sound is impossibly smooth, floating effortlessly above the orchestra. Even the judges, seasoned, experienced, nearly impossible to surprise, are glued to the performance, their expressions a mixture of disbelief and awe. But none of them are prepared for what happens next. The music transitions into the duet section, a part originally written for two different singers, one soprano, one tenor. The entire studio leans forward, wondering how Marcelito will navigate this impossible challenge. Then Marcelito lowers his chin slightly, takes a small breath, and his voice transforms. In a split second, the ethereal soprano melts away, replaced by a deep, rich male tenor that bursts through the speakers with strength and warmth. The switch is so clean, so sudden, that the judges jerk back in surprise. Heidi turns to Howie, eyes wide. "No way. No way. That's the same person," she shouts over the music. The camera zooms in on Marcelito's face. There is no struggle, no hesitation, no sign of strain. His body remains perfectly composed as he commands both worlds, gliding between the masculine and feminine tones like he was born with two souls. The tenor voice grows stronger, resonating through the hall, shaking the stage floor. Then, as the orchestration changes again, Marcelito leaps back into the female voice with flawless precision. The transitions are seamless, supernatural, leaving everyone unable to process what they are witnessing. Backstage, other contestants stare at the screen in stunned silence, some with hands over their mouths. Simon leans forward, eyebrows raised, lips parted, finally whispering, "This is unbelievable." Because in this moment, Marcelito isn't just performing. He's redefining what the human voice can do. The studio vibrates with the power of Marcelito's dual-voiced performance. Each note feels like a shockwave, rippling across the judges' table. As the song rises into its dramatic midpoint, all cameras pivot toward SimonCowell, because even he, the man famous for his ironclad composure, is losing his ability to stay still. Simon's arms slowly uncross. His eyes widen. He leans so far forward that the audience behind him begins to giggle nervously. It's rare, almost unheard of, to see Simon look confused, excited, and astonished all at once. But Marcelito is doing the impossible, and the disbelief is written all over Simon's face. Marcelito shifts again, from a crystal-clear soprano to a booming tenor, and Simon pushes back in his chair, pointing at the stage. No, no. How is he doing that? He mutters to himself, though his microphone picks it up loud enough for millions of viewers to hear. He turns to the producers off-camera, signaling frantically. Are you hearing this? He asks, as if needing confirmation that he's not imagining the moment. A cameraman nods, speechless. Meanwhile, the crowd roars with every vocal switch Marcelito makes. Phones glow like stars as people record the performance, desperate to capture history being made before their eyes. Heidi and Alicia stand again, hands over their hearts, shaking their heads. Howie looks like he's about to collapse from shock. Backstage, the other competitors gather around the monitor. Some cover their mouths, others pace nervously. One whispers, he's not competing, he's dominating. On stage, Marcelito remains calm, eyes closed, entirely immersed in the music. He has no idea how deeply he is shaking the world around him. And Simon? He isn't just impressed. He's rattled, in the best way possible. The orchestra swells, rising like a tidal wave behind Marcelito as he approaches the climax of the song. Every person inside the studio can feel the shift, the moment where a performance becomes a phenomenon. Marcelito stands centered in the spotlight, chest rising and falling with controlled breaths, his eyes reflecting pure focus. With a single step forward, he begins weaving both voices, the celestial soprano and the thunderous tenor, into a flawless dance. Each switch feels faster, cleaner, sharper than before, as if he's opening doors between two worlds and inviting the audience to walk through both. The crowd watches in stunned silence, hanging on every note, afraid to blink and miss the magic. Then the arrangement explodes into its final crescendo. The soprano voice pierces the air like a beam of light. The tenor voice answers, powerful and commanding. Back and forth he transitions, shaping the music into something entirely his own. Even the orchestra musicians glance at each other, stunned by the control he wields, control they rarely see even among seasoned operatic professionals. As Marcelito reaches the final measure, he unleashes a high note that seems to fill the entire universe. It rings through the studio, clean, resonant, impossibly steady. People in the audience grab each other's hands, some crying, some gasping, all overwhelmed by the moment. The note holds. And holds. And holds. Then, gently, gracefully, Marcelito releases it, allowing the sound to fade like a falling star. The room erupts. Screams, applause, whistles, waves of emotion crash from every direction. Judges jump to their feet. Even Simon slams his hands on the table, shaking his head in disbelief. Marcelito steps back, breath calm, heart full. He knows he has just created a moment the world will never forget. The applause continues long after the final note fades, rolling through the studio like thunder that refuses to die. Marcelito stands in the center of the stage, humbled, bowing his head as thousands of cheers rise around him. The judges remain on their feet, each wearing expressions that say they have just witnessed history. Heidi is the first to speak, hands pressed to her chest. Marcelito, that was not just a performance. That was a miracle. Her voice trembles with genuine emotion. Howie steps forward, pointing at Marcelito. You don't just sing, he proclaims, you redefine what singing even is. You're a one-man orchestra. A one-man duet. A one-man legend. Alicia wipes her eyes, overwhelmed. I've never experienced anything like that before. You've changed the energy of this entire room. But all eyes shift toward Simon. He sits down slowly, still shaking his head, trying to process what he just witnessed. Then he leans into his microphone, staring directly at Marcelito with a rare combination of respect and disbelief. Marcelito, Simon begins, pausing for a moment as the audience quiets. In all the years I've judged talent, and I mean all the years, I have never, ever seen anything like what you just did. That wasn't a performance. That was a masterclass. You didn't come here to compete, you came here to prove you belong among the greatest. The crowd explodes again. Marcelito smiles softly, overwhelmed but composed. Simon continues, you shocked the entire world tonight. And honestly, I think you might have just secured your place in Champions history. The audience chants his name. Marcelito. Marcelito. Marcelito bows deeply, tears gathering in his eyes. He came to share his gift. Instead, he created a legacy.